Hey, what's up, you guys? I'm Left, and this is my face.
And I'm right. Also, my face, not
And
his.
yeah, what we're doing now is we're actually going to start talking about our D&D campaign as a way to bring more light to the game, even though it
Has
already has a huge following right now because of Critical Role. But I
every
thought
little
this
bit
would be a
helps.
fun experiment to do, and we'll be talking about first two sessions this time because we have
We've
two of
gotten
those.
yeah we started it up about 4 weeks or so.
About a month ago now. Well,
Yeah.
no, not even a month ago. We played last night and 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so about
So we play every 2 weeks,
the schedule's looking to keep about that
Yeah.
same way, but
trying to keep that schedule. It might vary. If it does, I'll upload a video about whatever. Fucking. So to start off, what we're gonna do as a structure is we might actually end up also having another one of the players. It'll be hard because not all of them live where I do.
like me.
But we'll have. I am running the game. I'm DM for the game, and I'll give my thoughts on how the game went and my version of the story,
Yeah.
and then we'll have the players give their version of the story, which is almost 100 all the time, 100% different.
Especially in what we've had go so far for the sessions.
Yeah,
So
it's a doozy. Prepare to laugh, cry a little bit, be very upset, and think, what? Why?
yeah, even the best plans.
The best laid plans of mice.
Yep.
So we started off in our first session. The party of Tryford, Colseer, Anavita, Grace, and Bean, the dog, were given their mission by Zalian, a tiefling mystic, to go into the city of Solstier to fix what is going on.
We had been brought together by this Zalian and told each of us that we'd been chosen for a quest to figure out what was going on in the town. Figure out because it's what has been happening with the town is from what we can see when we started, the town is slowly being encased with a wall. I think at the time it was about what a foot high or so.
Yes, it's 30 feet out on either side and about a foot high. All of my players have, said it was an allegory for America currently, but it's really not.
It's just a good writing point to start.
It's
with.
just it's a good plot device to make, especially to try it for a D&D campaign to make something happen in a town that hasn't ever happened before, and using a little bit of my medieval history degree. Most cities had walls around them, but I took that, made a trading city, and made it a no-walled city historically, and then brought in the big bads, and they started building a wall.
Which in game our characters don't know anything about. We just know wall appeared.
Currently,
we don't know
that's what you know.
Why, and our mission is to go in and figure out what's happening and put a stop to it.
So our party started on atop a grassy hill. We're given their mission and walked down the hill towards the town. Grace, our rogue,
halfling rogue,
with some ADD problems.
Yeah. Who is the owner of Bean as well, the dog?
They found a farm, and rather than actually go talk to the farmer like normal people, Grace jumped into his wheat crops that he was sowing.
Yes, at the time.
And then our warlock Colseer had to go and talk to the farmer so that Grace was not decapitated by a crop scythe.
And wow, of course.
And it went about as well as you would expect. It was very confusing. None of the players really knew what was going on, even though I have a battle map. You can see it. We're resting our arms on it currently.
Yeah.
I have a battle map. I had everything drawn. I had it planned out, and nothing went right.
Yeah, we while Colseer was attempting to talk to the farmer, and progressively me and Anavita as well, Grace was cleaning, not picking the pockets of the farmer, but cleaning them out because they were dirty. Apparently.
Basically, when you are in Skyrim, she got behind the dude, rolled a high enough sleight of hand check that she could look into his pockets without him noticing, and asked me what she saw, and I told her he's a farmer. He doesn't really have anything in his pockets. He's currently doing work that's mostly just full of lint. And so it was her idea just to get the lint out of his pockets for whatever reason. I don't know.
So, continuing to talk to the farmer, we ended up figuring out that apparently 3 individuals came into town, more or less took ownership from it from the past mayor, and were currently overseeing the town, running things, and were the ones, from what we could tell, behind the wall being built.
There's a whole bunch of lore points that none of the players know, and I might upload a video because they're not going to watch it.
Yeah, well, I might, but I already know them, so.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of lore points that explain as to why there are 3 big bads in this town and why they're building a wall and what's actually going on in this whole continent. But that's the whole big story arc that we're doing that they know nothing about, that I spent months crafting because I was unemployed.
Yeah. But from there, we made our way into the town itself and ran across your morality check.
Yeah, I had placed an alignment moment in the town because I wanted to see exactly where the party was going to go in terms of their alignment. What it was a thief was held to the wall by 2 guards that had caught him stealing. The food that he had stolen for his family was on the ground. And in my head, the players had 3 choices. Sorry, it's hard for me to figure out the backwardsness of this. Players had 3 choices. They could do nothing. Oh, no, they had way more than 3 choices. Why am I saying 3? They could do nothing. They could pay the debt off, which was about 3 copper, which all of them had. They could attack the guards. Or they could go the evil route, and we could run an evil campaign, which would be really fun, but they ended really fast, and kill, or either, and help the guards with what they were doing. That was the evil campaign.
Wow.
What they decided to do was Grace, our rogue, our chaotic good rogue.
We will preface this. A lot of the characters are chaotic good.
Most of our characters are chaotic.
Yeah, chaotic
Chaotically
in nature.
aligned.
And what the intent was, vaguely, was to help the thief.
Yeah, the intent was, it was good intent. It was all good intent. So we have a basically good aligned party.
Yeah.
Some are chaotic neutral, and they're just kind of going with the flow. Just because you're neutral doesn't necessarily mean you're going to do bad things. You just kind of do whatever you want to do. The intent was to help the thief.
But
what happened was the guard holding our thief's arm, the thief's name is Siru. The guard holding his arm dies pretty quickly.
Yep.
I think I wrote down. I'll check my notes here really quick. Actually,
we didn't start out.
He died in 2 hits, so in about 2 turns.
That was
how he died.
Well, that was once weapons came out.
Yeah, once weapons came out, he died pretty quickly.
There was a part of the encounter where weapons did not come out, and it involved.
What happened was Grace, our rogue, instructed her dog Bean to tackle the guard holding Siru to the wall. What happened was not that. On Bean's attack roll, Bean rolled a lower than the guard's AC and missed. Didn't hit Siru, didn't hit the guard, but just missed. And then Grace decided to take it upon herself to move to the guard and try and tickle him for him to let him go. However, I made her roll an attack roll. She didn't meet the AC, so all she did was really jangle his chainmail shirt.
Yeah. Which, at this point, we have both guards are still firmly in place and just watching a halfling attempt to tickle them.
Very much so. So from there, I believe Colsier, our warlock, attempts to
actually attack the
She is a Pact of the Blade warlock, which is all fun and game, it's super fun on paper, but to actually play, very, very hard and not great for a new player, which is what we have playing her, but we're working on it. Everybody this is a level 5 campaign, but everybody has level 6 health, so.
Yeah.
What she does is she, on a free action, can summon her blade. She does that. She rolls to attack. Does not hit. actually almost takes damage herself from the weapon because in my game, as a Pact of the Blade Warlock, when you summon your weapon, if you roll a natural 1 on an attack roll, you then take the damage that you would have dealt. Minus like all your modifiers and stuff, obviously, because it's not going to hurt you as much as it's going to hurt another person.
And at that point, we were more or less fully in combat, so...
Yeah. And then
it was decided that weapons should actually come out.
So the guard, that was at the point where the guard holding the arm died very quickly. In somebody's turn.
I believe it was Good Grace. She actually took out her dagger and arming sword.
Yes.
Dagger was poison.
Yeah, she's a poison dagger and an arming sword. And for anybody that doesn't know, an arming sword is the traditional cruciform one-handed sword that you think of. It's usually called a longsword or a broadsword, but the actual historically correct term is an arming sword. In my game, they do 2d4's worth of damage, which is good and bad. Your chances of rolling a 1 are 0, but your chances of rolling an 8 are hard.
So guard 1 is killed. Guard 2, seeing his companion die, turns and attempts to leave.
Well, he attacks first.
Well,
he hits.
Oh, that's right. Yes, because
he hits Grace.
Bean attempts to make another attack.
Well, this was before he even ran. He, the way I remember.
No, because Bean attacked, missed, and then he went to hit.
He bashed Grace with his shield because his shield arm was completely open. He was just holding Ciri with his sword arm. He bashes Grace with his shield. Colseer attempts to make another attack, misses again. She was having really bad rolls that whole night.
Yeah. Anavita also attempted to make a roll with her weapon,
which is Kasurigama. She's an Eldritch Knight fighter, so she's the arcane fighter archetype. She is bound to that Kasurigama wherever it is on the same plane of existence. She just brings it to her hand. I think she can do that with up to like 3
also
weapons.
A tiefling.
Yeah, she is also a tiefling. But that becomes a bigger point in session 2.
Yeah.
It is at that point that the guard decides to leave, and he runs to go get backup. Side note here from the DM point, there are 45 guards in this town. At this point, there are 44. Yeah. He was going to go get enough backup to handle these four incredibly powerful homeless people and dog.
Yeah, that was the intent. But then...
Tryford the monk then rolls a flurry of blows attack, which allows him to hit 3 times in one action. And
using key points.
Using one key point. Hits 1, misses 1, and then hits 1, and does enough damage to actually kill the guard outright.
Which ends up with the guard folding in half at the point of his back.
Yes.
Collapsing on the ground. So, from that point, we now have 2 dead guards in an alleyway.
And Siru the thief, who thanks the party profusely. The party tries to hide the bodies as best they can.
While also attempting to hide our identities.
Yeah.
Earlier, when we had first reached the barn, we had tried to take up the guise of a circus group.
Theater troupe.
Or theater troupe. I have to get those 2 mixed up.
I mean, because this game is a circus.
Yes, it is very much a
That
circus.
is why. That's why you get those mixed up.
We tried to take the guise of a theater troupe, and we intended to continue this here with this particular character, but they did not believe us at all.
No. Siru was very not buying the fact that they were a theater troupe.
Yeah.
In Siru's mind, theater troupes aren't usually that well armed.
Yeah.
Or that good at killing things.
Yeah. So
that nice.
Yeah. So once we had looted the bodies, crammed them into a back alley corner to attempt to hide them, and I believe a spell of cloaking was put on them as well.
It was the spell Silent Image. It lasts all of 10 minutes.
Yeah, so...
They looked like sacks for all of 10 minutes, and that was about it. They look like dead bodies in a back alley corner at this point.
Yeah. From there, Siru took us down into the sewers.
Directed them through the sewers into the area called the Underground. Which
we also found out where a lot of the impoverished, a lot of the lower income individuals in the town were living due to not being able to keep up with the high demands from everyone living topside.
From the new overlords of the town.
Yeah, so they were forced to live in the Underground.
In the Underground is where the party meets a dwarf barbarian. His name is Marvon Mountainfist, and he's a bear totem barbarian. Um, he is basically NPC help for the party, just in case that they ever get overwhelmed. Um, Probably going to make an appearance in session 3. And the point that him being a dwarf is important because Triforce is half dwarf and half elf, a homebrew race that Trey and I actually, or Bright and I actually made. And so
The the point of it was, while having benefits from both races, ends up getting twice the amount of
racism.
from both parties.
Neither race really likes
The
half
other.
dwarf, half elves.
Yeah. Neither race likes each other, on top of liking anyone who is of half breed to begin with. He lacks the height of the elves.
Because in my game, elves they almost get into the height of Goliath. They do not go under. I have it over here somewhere. No elf is shorter than 5'5".
Yeah.
But even the shortest elves are wood elves. They're 5'5" to 6'5", and then the high elves, the sun elves, and the drow, the dark elves or moon elves, they are 5'9" to 6'9".
Yeah, pretty much.
So very tall.
Height is important for them, and Triforce is, I believe,
5'7".
5'7".
So in a high elf society, he is shorter than all slaves. In a wood elf society, he is shunned because he's half dwarf.
Yeah. From the dwarf standpoint,
they take a lot of pride in work, muscle, and facial hair.
Which Triforce has none of.
Triforce has the inability to grow facial hair because he's half elf.
So he pretty much gets the short end of the stick for both parties in terms of standards by which they are judged. So it is because of that he ends up being taken by his parents, pretty much left out, and becomes acquainted with the monks, where he is ultimately taken care of.
Yeah. That's just your whole backstory.
Yeah, that's just to
the whole point of that is that Marvon does not take kindly to the party because they are traveling with a half elf, half dwarf, and also he just really doesn't see that they would be of any use because Grace is the pure agent of chaos that any DM will talk to you about. She's a great fun to play with because she comes up. It always ends up in a very odd situation that I've never planned for. But it's kind of hard to try and run the game around it.
Yeah, she's very much a free radical in terms of the course of action she will take for her actions.
And it's very hard to judge what that action might actually be. But to go from there, Marvon really doesn't take kindly to the party. He doesn't really make much of them, but he does accept their help to help the town, and tells them all to meet at the Bleeding Eye Tavern to try and plan a way to get in, because Marvon's plan, Marvon being the Bear Totem Barbarian, is to kick the front door in and go in slashing. We'll find out later that that's actually also the same plan as the party.
Yeah.
Getting into my notes here. So they get to the Bleeding Eye, they pay for a room. Triforce and Colseer, the two people that actually didn't take that much damage. I think Colseer took about 6 points. Triforce, I don't think took any.
I did not take any. I know Triforce went up to meditate. Colseer went up to rest
and get her hit points back. Yeah. Grace then tries to gamble with Marvon,
who is drinking profusely at the time.
Who is drinking Dwarven Ale, which in my game is a very, very strong ale. It's like Scotch ale. It's much stronger than normal. She tries to drink out of his cup, which we find out later in session 2. Marvon is holding like a small babe, holds a bottle. He's got it in both hands and just pouring it down his throat, trying to deal with Grace and not murder her.
So,
also, we're out of my notes at this point.
Yeah. From there, we move on into session 2, where it ends up working towards nightfall.
To preface this, what I, as the DM, thought was going to happen. Our character, Grace the Rogue, who's the stealthiest out of the entire party because her dexterity is 20, was going to go out of the tavern, sneak to the cathedral, palace, castle, whatever, where the overlords are living, do a little bit of reconnaissance, come back to the party at the Bleeding Eye, relay the information, rest, and then would come up with a better plan of entrance, because Siru in the underground actually told them that there was a way into the castle through the sewers. None of them remembered that in session 2, and so what the plan became was...
Well, in the middle of this,
In the middle of
actually
this,
had
we-
another character.
We had
come in.
another player join. We dropped frames. So we had another player join the party. His name is Crag the Barbarian. He is a wolf totem barbarian at level 5. He walks in, orders an ale, and
Ordered several arrows.
he orders 5, but he gets one at a time. And walks over to observe the party from about 3 feet away.
So
It's
it's being
very,
very,
very close observance, about the distance between the two of us right now.
Yeah.
This is
Well-
how he just kind of sits there drinking ale.
And watching the gambling that Grace is attempting to still do with Marvon.
Yeah.
From there,
From there, Trifork comes down from the top floor from where the room was.
and plans continue to attempt to make a plan for how best to approach dealing with the group that has come into the city.
As a DM, none of their plans are good.
Yeah, it completely.
It goes tits up real fast.
Yeah.
So the first plan, and Grace's plan,
well, it's-
possibly the best out of all of them.
yeah,
Possibly the best out of all of them.
Yeah,
was
out of
to-
3 bad ones, this was the best.
Was to pretend to still pretend to be a traveling theater troupe, and gain entrance through the castle that way. It wasn't a great plan. It wasn't a bad plan.
Yeah.
It was
Well-
a pretty bad plan. But it wasn't a super bad plan. It wasn't a we're all gonna die plan.
Yeah, well, it ended
They
up.
went with a we're all gonna die plan.
Well, it ended up being that Marvon informed us
Foreshadowing.
that any attempts that groups have made to go inside in order to perform for such things either have just been refused outright or
Found later
dead.
with some gashes.
Yeah,
I think were the exact words that I used.
Yes. So the second plan was Marvon's plan, which was just
Kick
to
the front door in.
and
Go in slashing. Also a bad plan. Still not 100% different from what they did. They were then approached by the barkeep, who had overheard them because they were not being quiet.
Yeah, at this point they were the only people
They were
in the.
pretty much screaming at each other, and the only people in the inn.
Yeah.
The barkeep tells them that if they want to get into the castle, but not go through the front door, there's a garden out to the right side of it.
Yeah.
And the trees lining the wall are pretty tall, and that they can probably climb the tree and get up on the roof that way. He tells them there's a big window on the front of the building, but that's the only one that he's seen. But there's bound to be a window, or at least one window on the top of the building somewhere to let light in. That was the plan they went with. And and at this point, I'm going, good, this is what I wanted to happen. Because Grace volunteers to go by herself. And so I'm thinking, this is how I wanted this to go. I'm really excited. Something I planned is going to happen. Nothing I planned happened. I ended up making a whole bunch of shit up.
Yeah, it ended up being that it was the group did not want to have her go on by herself
Because they didn't want to lose one of their primary burst damage dealers.
in general,
Because the group has no healer, by the way.
concern for her well-being and whatnot. So the entire group decided to then go. But during this, Marvon fails
Constitution save.
and ends up passing
And
out
passes
drunk
out drunk.
twice.
He is woken up by being the dog licking his face.
Comes around.
He is moderately coherent to hear their plan. He tells them it's a bad plan, and but attempts to go with them, fails another Constitution save, and passes out again.
After being left in the care of the innkeeper, more or less, just to keep an eye on him,
And
the
Myrtle.
group,
The innkeeper and his wife Myrtle.
yes, the group then decides to leave the inn and make their way towards this side garden. They are stopped by a group of guards because they were not aware that this town has a loosely enforced curfew.
Gently enforced curfew.
Very loose. Not knowing about it, they were very lenient in that regard, just to say, don't need to be out during night, especially not near the cathedral.
You can be out at night. Don't go anywhere towards the cathedral. Most people are inside. You might want to get inside because there's nothing here for you. So with that information, they go towards the.
Well, we've Crag, who had joined in the conversation in the middle of the planning, had actually been in the town for some time beforehand.
Actually working on the wall.
Yeah, but didn't remember it because
Crag's intelligence is not high.
Not very high. So a lot of things are just, I know things. So he ends up remembering that
there is a road that will take them to the back side of the garden through the more wealthy district of the town.
Which is not as
heavily guarded.
Yeah. So they end up going that way, making their way through to the garden. And after picking the lock on the gate...
Well, you can say we. I have to say you.
Yeah.
I have to do it in the second person because I am the god.
You were there with us in spirit, so
I'm trying to help you through storytelling.
We were dragging you through this.
So
the group ended up picking the lock and killing the two kobolds that were asleep guarding that garden.
They're not great guards, and upon reading more about kobolds, shouldn't have been asleep because they have sunlight sensitivity apparently.
Oops.
But Grace takes them out pretty easily. She ends up doing more than 5 damage because they only have 5 hit points.
Yep.
They then climb, and this is the point where Grace's player asks me, can Bean the dog climb? And I'm like, he's a dog, he cannot climb a tree.
Yeah. So, after being very strongly encouraged to stay where he is and get help if needed, is left in the garden, and everyone
Climbs
in some form or fashion makes their way up to the roof.
And from there, climbs the first roof, and then the second roof, because I have it in a layered way, which somehow, I don't understand why, became the contention of how high up are we? We only have to be like 20 feet up. And I was like, that's not how, they're slanted roofs.
Yeah, so after much deliberation...
It wasn't deliberation, it was debating, and then another player drew a picture of the roof that I described for the players that had a problem with this.
We ended up making it to the top of the building and attempted to look in through the windows at the top.
They didn't... Okay, so they're stained glass windows. They're very dark colored stained glass windows. Reds, blacks, blues, greens. They
couldn't
didn't
see anything.
Open the window. And as a person, I'm thinking, wow. As a DM, I'm thinking, good God, these are my players.
Yeah. We were trying to see what we could without opening it in order to avoid making sound.
Because I prefaced it with, you see in front of you several stained glass windows that would pretty easily be opened.
Yeah.
They decided to not open a single damn window before they looked.
So
eventually what happened is...
thoroughly figured out we couldn't.
Breaks the lock with her dagger and raises the window, and it doesn't make a sound. None of them would have actually made a sound. She didn't even have to roll.
Yeah.
And they peer down and they see glimmering torchlights and
piles of gold.
No, you don't see the piles of gold yet. They see two lizard folk walking the area. Were this actually a cathedral, it would be the worship area, but there's nothing there. It's like the area where the mayor, or now the overlord, holds court. If you want an idea of what is in my head, think of in Dark Souls 3 when you're running to fight Aldrich, that run up. that whole area, cathedral area, towards his boss arena is what I'm thinking in my head. And so they then lower themselves down.
No, we did see that we saw that there was a throne of gold, and there's the gold around it because we
No,
were
you
trying
saw-
to figure out if.
That was while you were down.
Mm-mm.
That was when you were down there.
No, it's
Somebody
just-
rolled a natural 20 while they were on the ground, I thought.
Mm-mm.
I don't remember.
We figured out that there was a large amount of gold back in there.
The way I described it was like a small dragon's horde.
And one player, Grace, makes it down a rope into the room. Was
And stealthily hides behind a pillar. And then our Eldritch Knight fighter, Anavita, decides to follow suit. Unfortunately, Anavita's player is also very new. Anavita is not wearing shoes, and Anavita is a tiefling. Tieflings have hooves. So I have her make a stealth check to come off of the ladder, and she rolls a natural 1. Anavita has very bad luck.
yes,
Um,
if there were ever a time.
and so her hooves make a very audible click as she hits the ground, which alerts the 2 lizard folk that are standing guard. They turn around, and initiative is rolled. I believe I have those initiative orders.
Crag went first.
I believe Crag rolled a natural 20 because
Yes.
most of his rolls last night were natural 20s.
Yes, Crag rolled first.
Yes. Who went first was Crag,
Oh gosh.
and then Lizard Folk 1, and then Triford, and then Anavita, and then Kate, and then Lizard Folk 2, and then Cole Sear, our beloved warlock, who I was actually playing because her player could not show up, rolled a natural 1.
So she
didn't get to the floor until much after the combat was done.
what Crag did first was go into a rage
Handed the rope that he was holding off to Triford,
and
jumps through the window, sails 30 feet to the ground. I rolled very badly on his fall damage. I rolled about 6 damage for him to take for his fall. It's 1d6 per 10 feet to 30 feet in the air. He takes 3d6 damage. He takes 6 damage, but because he's raging, it's bludgeoning damage. It's halved to 3.
he then proceeds to
Use his movement to move towards the lizard folk and kills it in 2 hits.
2 hits. In his one turn, killed one of the lizard folk.
I believe he did 12 damage on the first hit and then 10 damage on the second hit. Lizard folk only have about 22 health.
Yes. From there, I believe my character attempted to move down from there.
You had to take a full.
Yes,
Triford had to take a full
Full
turn
to climb down.
to open another window, tie the rope off, and then begin climbing down.
From there,
Anavita used her Surigama to attack the lizard folk. I just number them. I'm not going to give every NPC enemy names.
Yep.
Dealing 6 damage in total with her Surigama, dropping it to 16 hit points. And then in someone else's turn, they deal another 6 damage to him. I believe it was Kate because she was next. Oh, this person also would have hit somebody because it was their turn. They were technically the second to react. I believe he hit Banner
yes.
with both attacks. Neither of them, he didn't care either time because it's bludgeoning damage. And then
so very minimal damage, and then
Kate, I believe,
Grace got
actually
went in for
killed Lizard Folk 1. And then finally, once they figure out what is going on in the room, where they see the small dragon's horde, and the throne.
History checks were made, and then figured out that it wasn't
a full dragon, because from what they have read about dragons, a actual dragon's horde is much, much larger.
Yeah.
This would be either a dragonborn or half dragon, which there is actually no difference. I just wanted to preface that.
Figured out that it is something of that nature. We end up inspecting the throne that was in the middle of the room.
There were small black flakes on the throne. Eventually, Anavita picks it up and inspects it. It is a black dragonborn.
Yeah.
It's a black scale. She then asks me, would that scale make good armor? And I'm like, not. I told her not really.
It's not very big.
To show you guys about how big it is, this is the bottom of a kobold mini, This is about as big as the scale was. It is the butt scale of a black dragonborn. It's not very big.
So from there, we figured out there were 2 doors going out of this room, short of the
Both
front door,
Both on the left, one on the left, one on the right.
and we went up to both doors.
Actually, I did that wrong. Left and right because I'm backwards.
Went up to both doors, checked through the keyholes to see if anything was coming.
The way I heard it was you listen to the door.
Yes, he listened through the keyhole for anything else coming. We went, I think, left first.
You went left. Well, what happened was when they listened to the doors, they heard footsteps coming up to them. So they dashed to the other door to hear footsteps coming up to that one as well.
So the thought process was to then run
They
and hide.
stopped and heard 3 raps on the door.
Which
They ran and
we
hid.
were, yeah, we hid at that point.
And then followed by a minute of silence. And then the doors opened to 4 lizard folk walked into the room, 2 from each side, and tried to figure out what was going on.
Some of the players did not make high enough stealth checks and were
Because they,
ultimately noticed
Yeah.
to some form or fashion.
and so
Good Grace.
for Grace, for all the bad things she does, that actually helped because it started combat really quickly and starts off with a good amount of damage.
Yeah.
Because she plays an assassin, so she gets sneak attack, she gets a stupid amount of damage because of sneak attack, and being at level 5. So she does 2d4 with her poison dagger. She's 1d4 piercing damage, 1d4 poison damage, and then 3d6 sneak attack damage. So she runs up and attacks Lizard Folk 4, dealing 11 damage to him outright before combat starts.
At which
Then
point-
initiative is rolled. At that point, Crag
Crag.
and Triford have the same initiative at 22. Lizard Folk 3 is the next to react with initiative of 20. Then Grace with 19. Lizard Folk 2 and 4 both at 18. Colseer at 17. Anavita at 12. And Lizard Folk 1 at 8.
From there, I believe
Crag charged in, or you charged in.
I
You
charged in
attacked
first.
Lizard Folk 1.
4.
No, 1.
I charged, or I was the other side.
Yeah, it was the way that it was set up was 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. You attacked this one.
Yeah, I attacked 1.
You attacked Lizard Folk 1. I have it on the paper here.
Yep.
You dealing 12 damage to him.
Yep.
And then
Just regular flurry of blows.
and then another attack did another 10 damage to him, leaving him at 2.
Yep.
And then Crag reacted, attacking Lizard Folk 3.
And ended up...
Dealt all but 4
he
damage.
completely killed 1.
Yeah, in his first swing, he did all but 4 damage to it. No, he attacked 2 things in his
Yeah.
first turn.
He killed
used
1
his-
and then attempted to swing.
Yeah, but he didn't kill it. He didn't hit it on.
Oh.
Have the numbers here. He did all but 4 damage to it.
Yep.
Then attempted to hit Lizard Folk 3
And missed.
and missed. Or he hit... No, he didn't hit 4.
No, he missed.
It was 2. He tried...
Attacked 3, hit. Attempted to hit 2, missed.
I'm
Because
trying to think of how he
2
was set up, because it was 1,
he
2,
hit
3,
1.
4. He was here. Yes, he tried to hit 2 and then 3. Or 3 and then 2. And then, okay.
hit
I just
3,
remember the setup.
Lizard 2, having seen the attack, was able to dodge in time.
Because he rolled lower than a 15, I believe their
Yep.
AC is. I'm talking about all of this, but literally it's common knowledge. We have books, so
Yep.
I don't really care about AC and stuff. And so from there, Lizard... Well, he does kill Lizard Folk 3 outright.
Yeah, he does. That's what I was saying.
Why? Okay, whatever. Yeah, because
That
I have
may
him
have-
marked out.
That may have been like his first hit was all but 2, possibly.
Yeah, but he has 2. He only has 2 attacks.
Yeah, then at most.
I
would have
think
been
it
14.
just decimates him.
Yeah.
And kills him.
Yeah.
And then from there, Kate reacts, killing Lizard Folk 4.
While
Rolling
also
on
being
her team.
granted advantage by
Crag's feat
Crag's.
of Sentinel. He's also a Wolf Totem Barbarian that grants him another boon of, I think, advantage on attacks as well.
So she kills Lizard 4 and then attempts to move.
To attack Lizard Folk 2, but misses, I believe.
I believe. Yeah.
And then
Lizard Folk 2
Lizard Folk
attacks.
2 reacts, attacks. I can't remember who he attacks. I think he attacks Banner, or not.
No, he
He
attacks
attacks
me.
Crag. No,
He attacks me.
yes, he does.
Yeah.
Hits you.
And then
Or is that Lizard Folk 1? Because one of them bites you and then tries to swing, but misses. This is when you should take notes in your games.
it was a lot of head and hands at this
Yeah.
point, but
The body count now is up to 5.
Yeah.
The body count at the end of the game is 8, which is a
Um,
high body count for a game that you want to run more on politics than death and destruction and murder hobos.
yeah, we even talked about it beforehand too.
Yeah.
But let's see. Needless to say,
Combat progressed, damage was dealt. Colseer actually hit something this time
yes,
in combat. She reacted fast enough. Anavita used both of her attacks and hit something. By the end of this, everyone has taken very little damage and dealt a lot. They don't even try to hide these bodies. They have nowhere to hide them. They're basically in an open cathedral hall. So they go down the left stairs.
a perception check is rolled by Craig.
Crag, who hears lots of footsteps.
at
They're
which-
pretty far behind, but he hears lots of footsteps. So they continue to go down the hallway and end up in a 15-foot wide hallway, which is wide enough for 3 of them to go abreast. And then they hear the sound of thunderous footsteps
Yep.
coming at them. Turn around, and what they see are 10 Kobold Shield Warriors, or Kobold Dragon Shields, 10 Kobold Dragon Scale Sorcerers, 4 more Lizard Folk, 10 guards who I have listed as enforcers who are actually stronger than the base guards, and 2 of the bosses. The first boss squeezes his way through the ranks up to the front. He is cloaked in a black cloak, removes his hood, and what they see is a black dragonborn visage. He introduces himself as Drazavur, Z-A-V-U-R. I forgot how to spell a name that I made.
Mhm.
He tells them that the party now has 2 choices. They can either continue the direction that they're going, continue towards the dungeon that they were headed towards, or die. The party, or Grace, decides that she's going to try and talk her way out of this. She comes up to Drazavur and says, "Is there any other way that we could do this?" To which Drazavur takes his hand, and the way that I did it was he does this, and lightning dances around his fingers and around his hand, and says, "There is another way, but I didn't feel like killing anybody tonight." And then, as he says this, a large hulking figure appears behind him with a golden-handled axe. It's like a gold filigree on wood for an axe handle, and also wearing a black cloak, but out from the cloak hood, they can see a red snout. So they can only assume that this is a red dragonborn. Drazavur tells Gorovorax, the red dragonborn with the axe, to escort them to the dungeon where they will wait.
And the encounter that we have ends with the party being held in this dungeon.
And that's where our second session ended.
That's where everything cut off from there. In
So-
hindsight,
In hindsight, there were lots of things that they could have done, like had a better plan, gone through the underground, gone up through the sewers, still ended up in the dungeon, and but they could have done this during the day when they were all rested. They could have bought healing potions in the merchant district of the town. They had lots of options and decided to go with the stabbing option.
to be
Which-
fair, a lot of these options weren't thought of until after the fact.
True, but that's life.
So
That's
now,
also D&D. D&D is life.
Yeah.
Basically.
very, very...
When anybody asks you, I play D&D, and they go, well, what is that game about? You go, life, but with a little bit more stabbing.
So, yeah, that's where it is at now.
That's where our game is at now. As a DM, this is my first game that I'm running. I'm learning a lot. I actually wanted the game to be a bit more serious than the murder hobo rampage that it is.
To be fair, you're also playing with a lot of new characters.
I am playing with a lot of new players.
and some characters who have played very cautiously before and then decided,
to throw all caution to the wind, because I think a lot of the players don't understand how I want to run this game. I
Yeah.
want the players to get attached to their characters and play their characters through a life, very much like the long form Critical Role is. I understand a lot of players can get bored with this. They can come and go as they please, to be totally honest. They can roll new characters, they can do whatever. But what I want is for my players to develop a friendship with their character and play that way.
which I would say so far everyone does seem to be.
Colseer's player really likes Colseer. I believe Anavita's player really likes Anavita. I think Grace's character likes Grace because of the freedom that it allows her. I don't know. The way she plays is very balls to the wall, very much, I'm probably going to die. I have told the people, all of my players, I give you guys, the reason they have level 6 health is I accidentally created a boss weapon that, if I roll a natural 20, could kill most level 5 players outright. And I still like this idea because the chances of me rolling a natural 20 are 1 in 20. It's ridiculously hard.
Not from last game.
Not from last game. I did crit 3 times, but
Yeah.
not going to use that die during the boss encounter.
I feel like, from the stance of Triforce, I am having a bit of a hard time in terms of really building up this character in the wake of how this group is behaving. It is a very exasperating group.
I understand how that can feel.
You are dealing with everything.
Trying to run this group, and also, especially last session, play a character. It's a really difficult, because it's difficult to try and run everybody and be a person in the game. Like, if any DM, there's always a problem when a DM plays a character where the DM really wants to give that character all the cool shit because that character is them and they can, because they're basically the god of everything.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. I have a lot of like NPCs that I'm going to end up playing for short periods of time as like help through quests and stuff. That's about it. They're going to be like recurring characters that are fun little interactions, anything long form. I can definitely see where you're coming from, that it's hard to get attached to your character. I definitely think some people are, especially Colseer's player, is very attached. When I told her that was what I wanted to do, and that you were not 100%, that's not what you thought was going to happen.
Yeah.
She was like, no, that's 100% what I thought was going to happen with this game.
Yeah. I had my thoughts. Well, I had played with some of the characters beforehand, so I had an idea of how things might progress. This is what I somewhat expected, but mostly dreaded.
This is what I dreaded as well.
Yeah. So, as a character, I am very curious to see how things will progress from here, because
currently in a dungeon,
yes,
with a very heightened guard presence.
Yeah, it was not with the intent of just being completely chaotic and destroying everything. It's just the natural progression of thought ended up leading us towards a very chaotic and destructive path that we're now on and don't really have a way out of.
I mean, there's a way off of it.
Yeah.
I stopped that train hard.
Yeah, had to pump the brakes on that really
I stopped that train with an army and 2 high-level bosses.
Yeah.
2 of the 3 bosses for this short, like, the beginning of this story arc,
showed up
to stop a murder hobo train.
Yeah. So I have to wonder how things will progress from there in terms of...
I hope that after the boss fight, the players see that the murder hobo way probably not the best way to go about things.
Yeah.
I don't want them to play 100% cautiously, because that's not fun. Playing passively is not fun. I want them to be very engaged. I want them to have their characters be aggressive when they can be, because we're playing with a barbarian, a fighter, a rogue, a warlock, and a monk. Hopefully we'll get a paladin next session.
Maybe that would be nice.
I do have actually a last ditch effort for that. I have a paladin rolled. It follows the god I made and the saint I made. I made gods for this. I made natural gods that are based off the wolf, the bear, the elk, the tiger, and the eagle. They're based off the totem, like all 5 totems for the barbarians. And if you follow the saints that follow them, then I have it somewhere. I named all of the saints. The saints are Saint Cole for the bear, Saint Veneth for the wolf, Saint Clive for the eagle, Saint Marquette for the elk, and Saint Strim for the tiger. If you follow these, you get different boons, all kinds of different stuff as a paladin or a cleric. But I have a paladin role who follows Saint Veneth and is a devout to the god Sif, which I 100% stole that name from Dark Souls.
That's fine.
And he is going to help the party if everybody wants to play a damage dealer and nobody wants to play a healer. I might even turn him into a full cleric and just have him run doctor duty.
Yeah, in the way that things are going, that might be a pretty solid idea.
I actually 100% have 2 paladins. One of them is another Dark Souls reference. His name is Solaire, S''Laire. He is a sun elf. He's actually a really great character. I liked rolling him. But he's just a random encounter through the woods. He'll pop up every now and again. It's not gonna be nothing that I do unless I legitimately have to put a healer in that party. Nothing I do is ever gonna be long form.
But that's where things lie now.
Join us next time when we talk about Session 3 and how things went with there, and we'll share our thoughts about how things could have gone better, could have gone worse, and if anything, if it's gonna go super worse, everybody could die, who knows? Then we'll roll the exact same characters and they'll look all exactly the same except have really fancy handlebar mustaches.
We'll go from there.
But thank you guys for watching. As always, I'm Left.
I'm right.
And this was our face reveal video. Who would have thought? We're talking about Dungeons & Dragons. We're fucking nerds.
Yep. That's how it should be.
We'll see you guys next time.